Hi, I'm Dr. Asha Priyanka, your public health dentist, and I don't teach the subject the way it's usually taught, which is like a list of definitions and bullet points. I like to teach it the way it should be understood, because once you understand it, you'll never struggle with it again. Our topic today is dental public health. So now, imagine two dentists. The first one treats one patient at a time. So there's pain, cavities, extractions, fillings. Now imagine another dentist who reduces caries in an entire village without even sitting on one single dental chair. Pause there. That difference is what dental public health is. And if you understand this contrast, you'll never forget the topic. You've understood most of the topic already. So why is dental public health needed? For centuries, dentistry was very reactive or curative. Pain comes, the patient comes, and treatment is given. But then research showed something quite uncomfortable. It showed that dental diseases are amongst the most common diseases in the world, and yet they are largely preventable. Whether it's caries, whether it's periodontal disease, whether it's oral cancer, they all develop very slowly, and they also affect all the communities. They carry out a lot of economic burden, and they affect the quality of life of a person. So from this, dentistry started evolving. The focus shifted from an individual to a population. It shifted from curative practice to preventive practice. It shifted from the basic drilling and frilling into controlling what the disease pattern is all about. And this shift is what created the dental public health. Now coming to some exam gold. What is the definition of dental public health? It is the science and art of preventing and controlling dental diseases and promoting dental health through organized community efforts. Don't memorize this blindly. Let's break it down like an examiner would. First, let's talk about the science and art. What does this mean? This means evidence and practical application. Then comes preventing and controlling. So we are not just treating over here. And then comes our organized community efforts, which just means that through a structured program and not just like random camps or something, we try to treat people. Most importantly, in dental public health, the community is what becomes our patient. And that single line is our sticky memory anchor over here. In Medi Study Go, this is exactly how I train you to decode any definitions. So you write it with understanding and not fear. Now, let's see what private practice versus dental public health looks like. And make this contrast permanent in your mind, because this is very important. Clinical dentistry is one mouth, where public health dentistry is many mouths. Then we have our clinical dentistry, which is curative, and public health is preventive and promotive. Clinical practice is patient funded, and public health is usually government or public funded. So, clinical dentistry, to sum it up, is very patient oriented, whereas dental public health is population oriented. And this can appear as a 5-mark question. In this contrast, or this public health versus private practice, is your backbone for the answer. Now let's see aims of dental public health. What does it aim to do? We understood that it aims to reduce the incidence and prevalence. Quickly, let's look at what's incidence and what's prevalence. Imagine a bathtub. Think of the bathtub filled with water. The water already inside the tub is all the existing cases of a disease. And the water that's flowing from the tap are all the new cases. And the water that's draining out are the people that are recovering or dying. So let's try and understand this. Incidence is that tap. It means all the new cases that occur during a specific period of time. And how do we get this? We try and answer the question, how many people newly developed this disease? Let's give an example. Let's say in a school of 100 children, 10 children develop dental caries this year. That 10 is the incidence. Now what is prevalence then? This is our water in the tongue. Prevalence means the total number of existing cases in a particular time. It includes all the older cases and the newer cases. So in the same example, in the same school, let's say 30 children already had caries and now 10 more developed in this year, right? So totally 40 children have caries now. This is the prevalence, which means the water that is sitting in that tub or the total disease load. In one line, we can say the difference looks like incidence is all the new cases and prevalence is all cases. If you want to remember it, a small trick is there. You can remember incidence like incoming cases and prevalence like present cases. So I and I, P and P. Now let's study some objectives of dental public health. Firstly, we want to promote oral health. And how do we do this? By community-based services. We study the disease patterns and also we try to prevent tooth loss. What else happens? We try and ensure that there is good distribution or equal distribution of services amongst the people, and we try and make sure that dental care is accessible and affordable to all the sections of the population, especially people who are underserved groups. Next, we also try to identify the risk groups, or we try to detect any factors that increase the likelihood of the oral diseases. And then we plan, implement and evaluate programs. We also design community-based oral health programs and execute them effectively. Also, after executing them, we assess how their impact was and so that we can learn and improve. Notice something quite important over here. This is where our epidemiology and biostatistics and social sciences, all of these topics, this is where it integrates. So we should understand that public health is not a single subject. It is all these systems that are thinking and that are applied to oral health. That's why many students also find it overwhelming, but really it is what connects everything. Once you're structured though, it becomes quite logical. Now let's look at some tools of public health. Think of these like working instruments. First is our epidemiology. What is this? This is the study and distribution of all the determinants of the health-related states in specific populations, and knowing this or applying this knowledge to control health problems. What does it answer? It answers who, where, why, and what is next. Without epidemiology, public health has no sense of direction. The next pillar or next tool is biostatistics. What is this? This is the science of collecting, compiling, presenting, and analyzing any numerical data. Now, what does this allow us to do? It measures diseases. It compares between the populations. Once we've measured it, we can compare it. And then if we can come up with, say, a hypothesis or a theory as to why this disease is happening, we can test this hypothesis with the numbers that we have, and we can create programs, and with these numbers, we can evaluate these programs. One small thing I'd like to mention here is that in the exams, a lot of students tend to write statistics instead of biostatistics. Please be precise. Those are two entirely different topics. Biostatistics, writing the word bio is very important because we deal with biology. And public health respects precision a lot. The next tool is social sciences. Over here we have sociology, psychology, and cultural anthropology. Now, because science alone does not change any person's behavior, the programs will fail when we tend to ignore the behavior of a person or cultural beliefs of a person. Public health only succeeds when this cultural belief system is understood. And this is worth remembering. Now let's see some procedural cycle of how a dental problem looks like, and from a survey what we can get. Always think in cycles. First, a survey of oral health status is taken, and then we identify the problems and risk factors. Then we plan and implement programs. We also evaluate their outcomes, and finally we modify these outcomes through research and feedback. Now, if you draw this like a flowchart in your exams, you automatically score much better. So, what are the essential principles of public health? Let's try and go through these. Public health has group responsibility. It works through teamwork. And we also know that it focuses on prevention. We also understand that it provides care irrespective of a person's income. Also, it recognizes the multifactorial causation. We've seen this in our previous videos. Public health also depends heavily on biostatistics. Without numbers, we don't understand the larger capacity of the society. And we know that it deals with healthy and apparently healthy populations. This important mindset shift is what will differentiate us between a good dentist or a clinician and a public health dentist. Clinical dentistry waits for pain, whereas public health searches for early disease. Now, let's see some oral health goals. Ultimately, what is it that we want to achieve? Firstly, we want retention of natural teeth for life. We also want functional and aesthetic dentition. We want to be able to eat, speak, and socialize without discomfort. And we want to reduce the disease burden. Finally, we want to improve the quality of life of a person. So public health is not just about reducing DMFT scores. It's about the dignity of a person. A small point I want to add about IAPHD. This is the Indian Association of Public Health Dentistry. It's a professional body in India. It promotes preventive dentistry, research, education, and all our community-based oral health initiatives. This is enough for the exams. We don't want to overwrite. Now, what makes a public health problem? There are some conditions for any problem to become a public health problem. When does that happen? Firstly, when the problem is prevalent. Next, when it has some serious impact on the society. Or when it causes economic and social burden. When the disease is preventable or controllable. And when it's recognized by the authorities. When all these things align, then a problem becomes a public health problem. Not every disease becomes a priority, and policy decisions are structured this way. They're very selective. This is how the major problems are identified, and they're given all the available resources. Otherwise, we'll just be having one foot in each thing and nothing gets solved. Let's try and compress everything once. Over here in dental public health, we're talking about one mouth versus many mouths. We are talking about curative versus preventive, individual versus population, and chair side versus community. This contrast is clear in your head, then this chapter is quite clear. If today felt organized instead of overwhelming, that is intentional. Public health is not a difficult subject. It is usually just poorly structured when it's taught. And that's why I built Medi Study Goes Public Health Dentistry Mind Maps book to sit with you during revision and make the subject linear instead of very scattered. Now, if you haven't purchased this book and you would like to, it's available on Amazon, Flipkart, Dentalcart, and our website. Let's see a flashcard and MCQ from this topic. Okay, first up, what are the two key characteristics that distinguish public health from private practice? We know now that public health focuses on organized community efforts and versus individual care. Also, public health focuses on preventive approach, whereas individually, a clinic will focus on curative approach. What is the main goal of public health? A, to cure a dental disease. B, rehabilitation. C, prevention of disease. And D, advanced dental treatment. Answer is C, prevention of disease. Now don't just watch, go and solve rest of the dental public health MCQs inside our app. And these are not random ones, they are all very pattern based and examiner focused. If you solve them confidently, you've understood the topic. But if you've struggled, this is data, it's not failure. We improve from here. And so if this helped you see public health any differently, like this video so I know that this format works for you. Also share it with somebody who thinks that the subject is too theoretical. We'll make it practical together. Finally, all I want to say is that clinical dentistry relieves pain and public health prevents pain. one chair treats a disease, but one system changes all the outcomes. Okay, so when you understand that difference now, you'll stop memorizing public health and you'll think of it like a public health dentist. I'll see you in the next topic. Bye.